Happy Tuesday.
Happy
Um,
Tuesday.
we got a pretty good one today. We're going to talk about how long it took us to get our first deals and how you can utilize some of those strategies to maybe help you guys get your first deal if you guys are just
Okay.
starting out. My name's Tim. He's Phil. Let's kidding.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. Dude, you want to start off?
Yeah, I'll start out with some due diligence. If you guys are doing a fix and flip, make sure you guys have that good insurance because I just had fire damage on my property about 2 weeks ago. It wasn't nothing big; it was pretty small, and I am so thankful for having good insurance. And even though it kind of costs, a lot in your, I would say, if you don't have a lot of damages in your properties, if you've done a lot of fix and flips, when it comes in handy, it comes in handy because that particular damage was probably around $12,000 as is. If you add on labor on top of that and all the other things that are associated with these kinds of damages, then it can obviously build up relatively quickly. But insurance is going to be covering that, and so the process was very smooth, and I'm super happy with what I got from the insurance company. And so yeah, like get good insurance, find a good insurance agent that can look out for your back, and you'll be fine with that. That's a little bit of my weekly due diligence for the week, and then we also have other stuff, but I won't get into. But first deal. All right, it took me a whole year to get my first deal, guys, because I was a freaking idiot. All right, so uh, at the time, I was a software engineer and had a lot of things going on. So at night, I would just be basically learning and absorbing as much information as I possibly can. My coach at the time only met with me like once every week, and I basically did what that person told me to do. But they weren't really good at telling me at marketing, or I didn't, or if they were, I didn't listen. So basically, for the whole first year that I was in real estate, all I did was consume knowledge and went to real estate meetup groups and built a lot of network, built a lot of like connections, and I spent a lot of money on marketing, and then I just threw it down the freaking drain. Like I would pull a list and I would call them or text them. Actually, I didn't. I was kind of too scared to call them and text them because I was kind of a bitch, and just focused on trying to get. Yeah, I'm being real, and I just focused on getting more connections on wholesalers and all that stuff, and then kind of mean connections that way. And I would just like go through a list and then like buy a new list. I wouldn't follow up with that list, guys. I didn't follow up. People say follow up's in the money. It sure is because I probably met a lot of the sellers that said no. And I was like, oh, they're gonna say no forever. Cool. On to the next person. So it took me a whole year, and it wasn't through direct mail marketing. It was just through building out my connections in the community, and it was a huge fix and flip. It was a huge project, huge gut. All the permits were pulled, and I almost lost my shirt on that deal. So I could have gotten a better deal if I did direct marketing, and the money that I spent on doing that, I should have just followed up with those people. So yeah, that's my first deal, man. Just a full gut fix and flip fire damage property, and took me
Fire
almost.
damage was your first one?
Yeah, yeah,
Holy crap.
yeah.
Okay, talk about baptized by fire.
Yeah, it had no roof. It was fully to the studs. It had no wiring. It was just a shell of a house, basically.
You
And
lose money
the
on it?
I actually broke even. The market saved me.
Damn.
So I originally had it appraised from a hard money lender to be a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath. And at the end of it, of getting just wrecked by squatters, people stealing, um, people like well permitting, contractor stealing from me, getting fired from my job. I had to convert that back to a, or had to convert it down to a 2 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and the market appreciated so much within that year that the original 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath price was now a two and a half. So I just broke even.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's so much story.
That's kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Most people would get like, screwed over and not make. They would probably lose money on that. But like,
yeah.
what kind of made you want to keep going?
I didn't have a fucking choice. It was either that or go bankrupt. I was like, okay, well, I know my one option here is the only option that I like to do. So I got fired from my job, and then I was actually relieved because I spent the rest of my time basically on this project, just fixing and
Oh,
flipping,
nice.
buying materials, heading over there, and I spent like all my paycheck on this property, like every
Everything
fucking
was
month.
going into it.
Yeah, everything was going into it. Everything, dude. My contractors, I had like three different contractors on this property. Like one obviously stole from me, the other one just didn't do a good job, couldn't pass inspection, and then the last one when I was about to give up, I got help from a buddy named, I think it's Tan Fam. Yeah, bro. Shout out to you, bro, in Richmond. He lent me his contracting crew, and they finished it in a month. I was like, from a shell. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so
That's
much.
like the difference, right? With the
Yeah.
crews.
Dude, they were hauling ass. They did so much work. I was actually sweating bullets because I was like, am I able to pay these guys? Because they're just working so fast. So they just completed a full shell in like literally a month, like start to finish. It was insane
Jesus.
to see that work.
That's the
Insane.
difference, man. I mean, I've had flips where, you know, my general contractor in Kentucky, I love her to death, but I think I broke her
Yeah,
when
you're
we were
telling.
doing 3 to 4 houses a month, and I was like, can you handle this? And she's like, yeah, and she could not. It was bad. So
Yeah,
it was a rough time, but sometimes you got to find the right contractors that can actually handle the management side, right? They could be
yeah,
so talented at design and managing the flip, but managing multiple crews,
dude, it's a lot.
different beast, right?
It is.
Okay, cool. My first deal was completely different from like what I teach and what I do now. I went conventional, right? So
Uh,
it just depends on who you are as a person and what your financials look like or what you're doing, right, at the end of the day, because there's so many ways to skin a cat of like getting your first deal.
yeah.
Like if you are someone that has just a savings account or you have like a retirement account, whatever it is, or just cash in an account, like you can buy properties on the conventional market with conventional financing if you have
Hmm.
decent credit. I've done the typical house hack as well, right? But my first house that I ever bought was conventional, right? The one I lived in. And then the second house I bought was a straight up conventional property as well. It was a duplex. But in Kentucky, like that duplex was like 120 grand.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so it wasn't a lot, right? So that was kind of like my entry point because, the type of podcast and stuff I was listening to was like Bigger Pockets
Yeah.
and they're very like traditional, right? Like underwrite a deal, get an agent, and go make an offer. So I think it was like 22,000 down to buy this property,
Hmm.
and it's probably one of my best ones that I still have today.
Oh, you
Like,
still have it?
yeah,
Oh,
it
nice.
makes like 800-900 a month,
Oh, that's pretty good.
and it's the same tenants I've had since I bought it.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, right?
Nice.
It was such a good deal that like I was driving home from Fort Knox, so I'm like driving home,
Uh,
and my agent calls me and she's like, "You need to pull over. Like you're probably driving home. You need to pull over and you need to make an offer." And I'm like, "What?" So I like pull over on the highway. So I'm like, right, and she sends me the listing and she's like, "You need to make a blind offer on this. I guarantee." And I'm like, "Okay." So the listing listed for like 6 hours and we made an offer blind, like pretty strong offer, and then like with the contingency of like, hey, like if you accept it, we still can't do an inspection. But basically, like I got this deal, and like everybody in her brokerage was like, "Oh my God, you got that Steedley house!" Like it was like crazy because it was listed so well. And then the seller, he did a house hack, renovated the whole place himself, so he didn't give a shit and about how much money he was getting. So because he was gonna make a killing off anyway. And then he was moving far away because he got married. So he's like, I'm moving out of here and I just want to sell it to somebody quick.
oh, you
And I'm
fucked
like,
up.
cool, this is my first investment, you know, and I was like, this is great. And then I started buying houses, and it didn't really go too well after that. So, but that was like my glory days. Like every house I was
Oh,
buying was like a slam dunk.
interesting. So your first
Um,
house is a duplex, man. Okay. What
yeah,
what was your rate back in the day?
that one was so my first house was 4% on the dot, like 3.99. So
Oh,
that was in
nice.
2021. And then the second one, the duplex, dude, it's probably one of my highest rates that I have. It's like 6.5% right now.
Oh, that's basically what it is right now. I'm getting new
Yeah.
quotes right now. It's about 6.5% right now.
Yeah, I cannot wait, bro. When that shit hits 5%, dude, I'm cashing out. It's like I'm gonna refi that bitch.
You're gonna refinance it? I have a
Yeah,
similar house like that. I have like a duplex that's in Hopewell, Virginia. Bought it sub two, was a complete shithole. Had to put like 100 plus grand into that thing, and COVID refinance, and so just sitting on 4%. Cash flows like a mofo now.
nice. That's a good time to do it, man.
Yeah, dude.
All those people are like were refinancing in 2021.
Dude,
Like, if you were in real estate prior to
dude.
2021, dude,
Oh
you're
my
you're you're, you're
God.
like, you're like a king right now,
Oh my
or queen.
God.
Yeah, cause like, bro, the property's appreciated about 100 grand in that
Yeah.
year, and you get a crazy rate, and you're just like, bro, these people. It's so much harder now to do that. What we were
Yeah.
doing back then, I probably would say now, going conventional is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's just all the deals just don't make sense. The prices didn't really drop. Rates are so high. You can't really do like the Burr strategy that everyone was doing when I first
Yeah.
started. That was like what all the gurus and influencers were saying, like burr your way to financial freedom. That is not, in my opinion, fucking possible right now. So, um,
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
the refinance that we're doing right now, we're gonna have to leave cash into the deal, which is what it is. We didn't buy it low enough, which is fine. We bought it like $65,000 below asking, so I mean, like, it's still pretty good. So
yeah.
whatever.
I'll
Um,
tell you guys something cool though. I had a call today with one of my old sellers.
mm,
So we bought a six portfolio house in Iowa. And there's a lot of issues with that. Like the PM was the person, the agent who was selling it, like lied, forged leases, all that stuff.
oh, that one,
Yeah, I can publicly say it now because he's actually losing his license.
dope.
But yeah, dude's really bad, man. Was lying on leases, lying about property condition, all this stuff. So we were actually like breaking even on this house, and we had to pay
Mm,
out of pocket to pay our investors, right? Because we always want
uh,
to take care of our investors. So the three of us pooled money in, paid the investors their interest. It wasn't a lot, but we
yeah,
still scraped some money together. But what I love about seller finance, and a lot of you guys probably hear, like, I will buy any seller finance deal, right?
yeah,
That's like
yeah,
my favorite like model, because what we talked about today was, okay, we've stabilized the property, and it makes a couple $100s a month now net, like with the PM, with everything. Yeah, right. So we stabilized it, bro, right? But what we asked the
God.
seller was, hey, will you defer payments for 6 or 7 months? Your seller finance portion. So we bought
Yeah.
a hybrid deal. So we did sub two
Uh,
seller, and they're like, bro, like let's talk, man. Like we don't really care, like if, but let's talk about it and let's hash it out. But basically, if we like don't pay them a seller finance note for like 6 7 months, like we'll have like 8 9 grand reserves back again. And
oh,
we'll be
okay.
back in the green. Like that's what I told them. I was like, I just need to like build a cash reserve because these HVACs are going out, like these freaking ACs are
Yeah.
going out. Like I just need a reserve, and if you can give me 6 7 months, bro, we're good, and we'll still pay your sub two mortgage, all that stuff. But like, you just have to like the seller finance notes are just so
Yeah.
flexible with the
They are.
seller, especially if you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah. You know, it's also, I'll add to that, like, you're basically working for free for the next 6 to 7 months, and all the money that you're supposed to make on that property is going to go straight to deferred maintenance at
Hundred
the
percent.
worst. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is,
we need
this
to do
is
that.
the situation of, rental properties, just rental property in general. You have to be able to have cash reserves. And I think a good, healthy cash reserves, depending on, where you're at and obviously where your property's located, I feel like a 10 grand is good for like an oh shit moments where you have turnovers, where you have vacancies, where you have like an HVAC unit go out. I mean, yeah, you can get like home warranty insurance, but dude, I had the worst time with American Home Shield. Oh my fucking God. I just wanted to blow my brains out because the VA that I was on the phone with did not listen to me. I was like, I want to cancel. He's like, and then he started downselling me. I'm like, no, I want to cancel. I want to cancel. I want to freaking cancel. And then I'm like, repeat back to me what I said and do the damn thing that I just said.
No, they're doing their job, man. Hey,
I know.
listen, bro.
I'm like, I know you're reading from a fucking script. Just cancel my damn thing.
That's crazy.
Dude, it was insane. I was like, I was an
So
hour of trying to cancel this damn home warranty policy.
yeah,
An
I
hour.
I want to hear though if anyone's like watching on live is what are you like what were your first deals like, and then also if you haven't done a deal, what are you currently doing to go find your first deal, right? We want to
Yeah.
have a conversation about that because there's so many different ways to get your first deal as well. So I mean, we named two different ways, right? He found an investor to sell him a deal, and then I went just straight up on the market, right? I know we preach a lot about off, but you don't really need to do off market all the time.
This could be a good segue to like what we could do differently. So like for
A
me, what
lot.
I could have done differently, which was a lot, obviously, but if I really had to do something different, would be probably implement a some kind of CRM system now these days. There's a bunch of them out there, and just do the follow up automatically. Now with AI and all that stuff, like, dude, it's so much easier than it was 9 years ago, guys, where there was no AI and there was no like quote unquote, well, there was CRM system, but they just weren't as automated as they are today and more developed and more advanced. I think it's way easier now than ever to get a deal. Like you can just do mass marketing, mass follow up, and just sit back and literally do nothing until someone books an appointment with you guys. All you gotta do is maybe spend, I don't know, $300 a month, a couple $100 for the CRM, $100 for the data, and you're off to the races, guys. I mean, it can't get any more easier than just that. So if you think about if that's a lot to you guys, understandable, but the return on investment is what you guys should be focusing on, right? And then furthermore, I would just start building my communicational skills is what I would probably be doing on the side, because not only can you get leads, but you have to work on your communication skills to be able to sell and to be able to understand the seller's problems and to be able to provide solutions to them. So that way you can get more deals at a quicker rate and close people a lot faster. That's what I would do. Just the two things.
Sales is always important. I think
Yeah.
communication and sales is super important. I would say like the one thing that I would probably do differently if I were to go back in time was not try to buy volume in the single family space.
Yeah.
I went a little too crazy, buying like 8 houses in a year or whatever, and it's just not necessary. I mean,
Yeah.
it was really cool, like saying like, oh, I bought these houses and they're all in creative finance, but at the end of the day, like scaling, I get, I don't want to use the word scaling, but like trying to acquire property is not like the cool thing to do. Like you see a lot of like the bigger players in the space selling off, or they call it pruning, off their single family portfolio because they realize like it's not really that great to have a shit ton of single families. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're super low leverage, and you'll probably see me like posting on social media about low leverage. And what low leverage is, it's like the amount of time, the amount of effort, the amount of work I put into that single family, I'm never going to get the exponential return on the back end. And a lot of people out there will, like I've seen on Instagram, like they'll comment
Yeah.
or whatever and say, well, you're just not patient enough. And it's like, yeah,
Sure.
I get that. Like, it is a long term game,
Yeah.
but when you are talking to someone that says, "Why are you trying to get into real estate?" It's because they say, "I want to be financially free."
Hmm.
I'm not trying to be financially free when I'm fucking 65, 70 years old,
Yeah.
right? So, how did I pivot? I went into commercial and we're trying to get into commercial. And the
Yeah.
thing is, like when we talk about low leverage, like a single family property does not appreciate based off how much money you make. Like if you have a co-living, so co-living is a very popular space that's coming out.
Yep.
And 2026 will be even bigger. Guess what the problem is with co-living? Yes, you do make some money. If it's fully rented, you do make a lot of cash flow.
Hmm.
But here's the big risk, guys. Banks don't know how to fucking underwrite this.
Yeah.
And the house is not, I tell you right now, it's not going to appreciate. So you think you're buying this house and you make all these weird bedrooms that are not legal bedrooms, by the way,
Yep.
right? Because how do you make a legal bedroom? Is a closet, a window, and a door, right? You need those requirements. And most of these pad splits or co-livings do not meet, like, so you can have an 8 bedroom house, but really on paper it's 3 bedroom.
Yeah.
So when those appraisers come out, they're going to appraise it what it is, what it actually is, right? What it's actually zoned for. So it would be a 3-2, and you're gonna be like, oh, I thought I was gonna refinance for like 800,000, and you're getting a refinance of like 200.
Yeah.
Maybe not that extreme, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
that
I would
you know
also
what I
add
mean?
like if you are getting to a group home, I mean, like there's a couple of reasons why you should buy it. If you're like I saw something earlier in the a couple of investors, right? Maybe a business owner needs housing for their employees. That's a
Hmm.
perfect time to buy, a group home for that reason to house your employee if they need housing, and then you can make money off of that. But don't expect it to like be like a grand slam, and it's not like what you said, like high leverage. It's low leverage because you gotta build up the rooms, and then guess what? When you try to sell it, you gotta deconstruct the rooms and then
Yeah.
put it back.
Unless you're selling it to another co-living investor.
Yeah.
And I just think here's the thing, guys. Like, if it's a fad, I think it's too late. Okay? Like that's just my honest opinion because trust me, I've been on the fad trains. I've been on the you know, I don't want to talk bad about any strategy, but it's just there's fads that happen and like you get really sucked into those fads
Hmm.
and you buy the house and it's too late. Like now, like it's super saturated. Like when everybody was talking about Airbnb, like
Yeah.
Airbnb arbitrage masterminds,
Oh yeah.
like all this shit, right? Like get a short term rental, make 3, 4, 5K of cash flow with no money out of your pocket. And then the gurus started coming out with $10,000 credits, right? So you get a $10,000 credit card at 0% interest to buy all your furniture, and you can
Yeah.
pay yourself back with the cash flow. And then guess what? If you were 1 to 2 years late, you are in a market that's shutting down Airbnb, or it's just so saturated. Like if
Yeah.
you're in Florida in Disney, right? I have a
Oh
friend right
yeah.
now. Oh my God. So she bought, hey Kelly, if you're listening to this, I love you. I appreciate you. But she bought $1 million home, conventional financing, right? Because she wanted to get into real estate. And that's cool. I commend anyone that wants to get started, but you have to understand what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she bought $1 million house, conventional financing, 20% down. That's like her fucking life savings, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then hired a poor manager, short-term rental manager, and is in the most
Mm,
contested short-term rental area in probably the United States.
that's rough.
She makes less
Hey.
money on an Airbnb than my one midterm rental.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. Well, what I will say about rentals in general is that, Tim and I have a couple, right? Nothing crazy. I would say I like the fact that I bought rentals for the idea of having passive income, and it's not passive at all, by the way, guys. If you have a bad tenant or if you have anything go wrong, it's just like, oh shit, I gotta deal with this. But I will say that I'm selling off some of my rentals now. I realize, and I've kind of come full circle. Like these are awesome piggy banks because these paydays are just going to be super nice for the next step in the evolution of my investments or whatever it's going to be. So like I will say like not only did it help for depreciation, but also like when I'm at a point where I'm like I need to cash out a little bit here and there, this could be a great way to liquidate the asset so that way you can have whatever you need to have for your next venture or feel a certain way. So I will say that is that it's been nice to liquidate some of my properties and then move it into a better and bigger investment. So yeah,
That's true, right? It's like anything. It's like owning a stock. It's like owning anything. Like if you
yeah,
hold something for the long term, and it's not in the war zone, it will probably appreciate. So there's so many strategies too, right? That you got to think about. Like what's kind of like your avatar. Like, are you going for cash flow? Or are you
hmm,
going for appreciation, right? In the long term. I mean, there's people that make millions of dollars a year just doing Section 8,
yeah,
low income housing in really bad neighborhoods that don't appreciate, right? They don't
yep,
care. They pay off the house as fast as they can, and every check they get, it's cash on cash return. Like that's literally all they care about. Some of us don't. Most of us don't have that ability to buy these $80,000 homes with cash, right? And then Section 8 them for like $800. but it just depends on like what you're trying to do. Um, I always say like if you're doing short-term rental, co-living, all that stuff, it's basically running a business, and
Mhm.
you might as well like sacrifice the satisfaction of buying property and focusing on buying the one or two that actually kick ass and change your life.
Yeah.
That's what I would take away from in my experience now.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good experience. Like, I don't know. I feel like buying rentals is a good like starting point to understand the process. Like if you buy maybe one or two in the beginning and then have that as your foundation to be able to jump off or springboard to maybe a bigger asset once you get the idea of it. And then, I mean, a jump from residential to commercial isn't that big of a jump. It's just different terminologies, a different understanding of terms and conditions. But outside of that, I mean, it's relatively the same, except it's just easier in the commercial side of like as far as dealing with the actual tenant themselves because of their businesses at this point, not like actually emotional people that's tied to the property because they need somewhere to live and they need like X, Y, and Z for their family. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean it's pretty good overall. Not that big of a jump, but either way, it's still a good idea to buy rentals. I mean, if
If
you,
you're if
yeah,
you're super young, like if you're like 18, 19 years old,
oh yeah,
bro, I would buy a
yeah,
house. It doesn't have to be okay. So this the house hacking shit, right? Like let's throw that out the window. So house hacking, everyone talks about multifamily, right?
yep,
Residential multifamily. You can buy a three-bedroom house,
yep,
right? You can FHA, VA, if you're a veteran, VA loan, but if you can do an FHA loan, you know, borrow some money from your parents or whatever it may be, right? Whatever you can do, and you can rent out those rooms to your friends. So it's like
hmm,
co-living, but not really, right? And it's
yeah,
still a house hack because you have two people paying a portion of the rent.
hmm,
And if you're 18 years old, you buy the house, you live there basically almost for free. You're paying like a fraction of money in your
yeah,
mortgage first off. That's crazy. You're not paying rent, you're paying your mortgage, and you have your friends who live there with you take care of it with you. Then you're 18 years old, man. If you're like 25, 26, I promise you that property is probably appreciated
yeah,
over time and you've been paying down your mortgages. That is like kind of like the stepping stone. Like one of those properties can actually help you springboard into commercial because what you're
yep,
going to do is you're going to sell that property and then you're actually it depends on how long you've been far removed from it, but if you
yeah,
sold it within a 5-year period it'd be tax free. But if you're selling it like 10 years later and now it's an investment, you
yeah,
1031 exchange that into a bigger house, into a bigger building. Like that's literally how one property can help you scale into like a multifamily, right? So maybe you
yeah,
sell your single family, you buy a quadplex, and then you
hmm,
hold that for a couple of years, and you sell that, roll that into your first like commercial building, right?
yeah.
That's how people start, like in the past, like in a more traditional sense. And you don't have to do the crazy negotiations that people talk about online, right? Or
Yeah.
how I talk about. I'm like, oh, solar finance, right? It's like you don't always have to do that, you know?
And I will add that if you happen to do that method, you have more leverage because if you do a 1031 exchange, it's basically a exchanging of like-kind property, which is an investment property that doubles in value. So like if you sell the property for $100,000, your next purchase, maximum purchase is going to be $200,000 as of this recording. So that way you can have actually go to an agent and say, hey, I have a 1031 exchange that I want to do. And they know from hearing that that's like a buyer's intent that they are going to be able to close. Like they have a high likelihood of closing. So this particular buyer is probably the best candidate out of everybody because they've already got their money squared away and they have it in escrow so they can
It's
send it
cash.
over and it's cash too as well. So um, it just makes you look like a better buyer overall, and that's what we did for one of our investment properties and flip into a commercial building. So it was a rental, and then we flipped it, and then we 1031 exchanged into a retail strip mall. So it's just
Yep.
so much better. Now
And
cash
it's
flow.
just, and it's a significant amount of cash to pay off whatever the debt is too, right? Like,
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
doing like a $300,000 mortgage and you put fucking 200 grand into it,
yeah.
it's probably cash flowing a pretty good amount too
Yep.
with a ton of equity, right? So you're pretty
Yeah.
safe on the investment as well.
Straight up.
And and then when you scale into commercial, we've talked about it. If you buy a commercial property, you can exponentially increase your net worth by increasing the value of how much money you're making and stuff like that on that property.
Yep, and then you can sell it if you want. It's crazy how much the commercial game is. Like that's why a lot of people want to be in the commercial, but there's a level of knowledge and I guess rapport and credibility that you have to be able to accomplish to be able to get into that space. But overall, experience also trumps a lot of different things too as well. The deal that I mentioned before is like, yeah, 1031 exchange, it cash flows now like $300 a month net. Just three
Mailbox
units.
money too.
Yeah, it's mailbox money. It gets paid every single month. They're businesses and they just know what's up. Like it's nothing like crazy. Yeah. They
Yeah,
make money. Yeah.
I'm just so jaded by tenants, dude. I'm just like, I want to jump into commercial like so bad,
Yeah.
but hopefully we close in the next couple weeks, or
Hopefully,
actually
bro.
probably be the end of the month.
I'm thinking probably beginning of next year. Actually, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
'Cause,
look like after the extension and stuff.
yeah, the travel and the Thanksgiving, the Christmas, the New Year's, everybody's basically gonna be
Shut down.
yeah, like mindless in a sense, like they're holiday mind, so they're all gonna be like Black Friday stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, we'll find out.
man. Okay. So ultimately, guys, if you guys are looking into getting started, I would, man, I guess let's end the show today by kind of giving like one piece of advice of how to get started if you're a beginner.
Yeah, if I was a beginner, I would. One piece of advice is kind of hard. It's kind of hard to give one piece of advice, but um, learn then do. That's what I would do. Learn and do. Don't overthink things. Just learn and do. That's it.
Yeah, I kind of like that actually. Yeah, okay. So for me, like I was a big podcaster because podcast was so popular in 2021, especially in real estate. I was just consuming too much. And then I consumed for so long, and then I just like decided to just buy like a mentorship, right, to just consume more. And what you start to realize is like, yeah, you get good knowledge and you get good like connections and stuff like that, but like ultimately, if you're sitting on your computer or your phone watching videos like this all the time, you're not actually making money or moving the needle towards what you're trying to do,
You
right?
get entertained. Which is
Yeah, you
great.
gotta have a balance, right? Like I usually have like a chart of like what I do is, so I'm in a learning phase,
Hmm.
and then I gotta fucking do shit,
Yep.
right? And then you do shit, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting overwhelmed. Let's calm it down. Let's stabilize, and then you go back into learning, and then
Yep.
you fucking take action. So like,
Yeah.
there's gotta be a rotation of like what phase that you're doing. Like you gotta learn enough, like to kind of get a grasp of it, and then you got to go try it, because when you go try it, you're going to learn what you don't like and what you
Yeah.
do like. I hate fix and flipping, but
I
I've
agree
done
with
it,
you.
right? So I know, but now I know, like, hey, I don't really like it, but guess what you got out of it? You got the ability to go into a house and be like, all right, this is going to cost you this much money
Mhm.
to repair,
And you
right?
got
Like,
management skills, you got resourcing
yeah.
skills, sourcing out things, negotiation with contractors, paperwork. You got a whole bunch of skills. Like
Yeah, a
everything in real
ton
estate,
of skills.
you'll get skills.
I think flipping though, rehabbing is such a good foundation to have though for
Oh
any
yeah,
strategy you do. Like if
I
we're
think
gonna
so.
go buy co-living, like we could probably figure it out, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
because then you have
so
it also ties into wholesaling, ties into rentals, and obviously ties into fix and flipping because you're fixing and flipping. But also ties into everything in real estate because everything in real estate is construction based. Like everything in real estate.
everything
Land.
needs renovations.
Yeah.
No matter what house you look at, like
Yeah.
you probably need to fix something,
Yeah.
right? And it's good to have that balance. But
Yeah. Straight up.
cool. We will be enjoying Thanksgiving, and I hope you guys enjoyed Thanksgiving as well. And I appreciate everyone just coming on and watching us BS with you guys for a little bit. So if we don't see you guys, have a wonderful holiday break, and see you guys next Tuesday.